lot of things been on my mind lately. A lot of things I've been ruminating and contemplating. A lot of things have been stolen and taken by Satan. A lot of things I don't know about, I'm just trying to make it, but he can't faze me. Forget the 10, my Lord God made me.
All right, and welcome back, guys. We're super thankful that you guys are tuning in to the Growth Environment Podcast. Man, I'm honored to sit with an old friend of mine. We haven't met since high school. We used to play football together, and believe it or not, Gabriel Belloc is a wrestler, and he played football. Just awesome guy, and every time we're on the football field, he was a leader for the team. Man, our quarterback, and just a great guy, fun. I remember you and the Tatis, dude, were the funniest guys. I used to think you guys are so hilarious. They knew how to have, I forgot what they call it, the high school rallies. They knew how to turn it up. And so anyways, super thankful that you're here. Gabriel is the owner of G Ranch Trucking and Big Rig Hauling Service. And I think that's just kind of the main things that he's talked about, but I know there's other things that you're working in and doing as well. Yep. Master lemonade stand host. No, but Gabriel, I'm so glad that you're here. For those that just don't know you and not aware of that, what you're doing, can you give me a little more in depth of what you do and how you would describe yourself?
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Proud moment to be here.
Oh, thanks.
I've watched a couple of your podcasts, and I've heard a couple of your podcasts and stuff. So it's good stuff.
Oh, thanks.
So really happy to be here. So the company is a trucking company. We do transportation, and not for one specific thing, just a couple different things. Just a little bit about the business. I started in 2021, and kind of just took it from there, and going on our fourth year. Yeah. Our fourth year strong. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Gabriel, like one of the big things that I'm trying to pull for the audience here, there are people that have dreams in their hearts or different things that they have and do. But sometimes it's intimidating to take those steps out. So I know we talked about this a little bit before the recording, but what kind of got you to the place of just saying, I'm going to step out from the 9-to-5 and actually pursue just being an entrepreneur and stepping into your business?
Well, to be honest with you, that was one of the biggest things that kind of pushed me to get out of the 9-to-5 thing, is because I always wanted more for myself. Yeah. And I wanted more for, my family. I knew that I wanted to have kids. I knew that I wanted to grow in that aspect. So I decided that working a 9-to-5 job wasn't going to give me the financial freedom and the time freedom that I wanted, that I desired. Yeah. So that's what kind of pushed me to do that. And business is risks. Yeah. That's one of the biggest things with business that kind of deters people from it, because they're scared of taking risks. And honestly, you got to get real comfortable taking risks. Yeah. And you just got to get real comfortable with it. Mm. So,
yeah, what's kind of helped you with some of that comfortability of taking those risks? Because anyone who's taken a chance to step out has fallen flat. But the difference is you keep getting up and that perseverance. So, what's kind of helped you stay comfortable and been a solid place for you to take those steps?
Trials and tribulation. Yeah, you got to go through it to learn it. Yep. You don't just wake up one morning and just you're not that person. You gotta go through it. There's gonna be failures. There's going to be hard times, there's going to be good times, there's going to be really hard times, and there's going to be really good times. Yeah. You just got to do it, and for me, I feel like it stemmed from my childhood. I don't know, like a lot of boys, you grow up and you're tough, you're wrestling with your cousins, you're doing tough stuff, you're being a boy, I guess. Yeah. So for me, that transitioned into my work life now, where tough times will happen to me, and you just got to get up. You just have to, Yeah. You just got to get up and get after it.
Now, were there influences around you that really helped you kind of step into entrepreneurship? Like, were there family or friends that you were like, man, they're doing it, I can, glean from them, or I see how they do it, and like, that's really good. Or maybe, that's terrible, or that's not a, good practice. I would do that different. Are there people in your life that you had like that growing up?
Yeah, definitely. So I want to say my parents, for one, they're really good parents. They, did a lot for me. They helped me to be the man who I am today. So, big thanks to my mom and my dad. they pushed me to do a lot of stuff, whether it be sports, whether it be, after school activities or in school activities. We grew up doing 4-H, doing 4-H, riding horses and stuff like that. So
wow.
They kind of gave me that push and that mindset to work with, to start on. And then, I also had family members that they do trucking themselves. And my dad was a truck driver as well. So that kind of pushed me towards doing the trucking thing.
Yeah.
And, just like you said, I also did look at them, and I seen their failures, and I seen what they did and what they didn't do. So that's why I kind of do what I do. And I feel like that's made me, who I am today, to see, the things that they did and what I can capitalize on.
Right. No, that's huge. I mean, my dad would always tell me, I remember one time we were driving, I don't know if you remember, in Eloy, there's that blue building. It's right across the tracks, like you're heading over to Arizona City. It's Stroke Hill. My dad, it's called something else now, but it's like a beaming company. Remember one time as a little kid, I was telling him, like, Dad, I'm going to be just like you. I'm going to work with you. I want to work at this spot. And my dad said, no, like, you're supposed to do better than me. Like, I'm supposed to build, your foundation, and you build off of what I'm building. And so if you're not going further, that's not real success. And so that's awesome to see that you're taking that step into entrepreneurship, Gabe, and you're able to build off of what your family's kind of laid out for you. That's huge, and that says a lot. And we were teasing about lemonade stands because I do want to talk about this. There's a range of things I want to talk about with you, Gabe. But, you kind of explained it before, but I know the audience didn't get a chance to hear this. So your daughter, I just saw this, you posted this a couple weeks ago or last week. We're doing a lemonade stand. And was that something that, they wanted to do, or is that something that you kind of, low key was kind of instilling some entrepreneurship in them to do? How did that kind of pan out?
A little bit of both. With my daughters, they see what I do on a daily basis. So they kind of, they ask me questions, they ask a lot of questions, Dad, how did you do this? How did you get this? Why did you buy this? How did you buy this? Where do we get food? How do we do all that stuff? So they're real smart. They're really good
questions.
Yeah, real good questions. So I'm like, you know what? And I tell her, this is how it went. This is how it goes. This is what you do to get money. This is, how you treat people. This is how you give respect, get respect, all that stuff, just going over it. And from those days, she kind of just went on. And one day she was just like, hey, Dad, she's like, I like lemonade, my sister likes lemonade. She's like, how about we do a lemonade stand? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, we'll do a lemonade stand. and I'm like, well, but what do you want it for? What's your goal? What do you want to do? And, right away she's like that, she wants to get her little sister something. She wants to buy herself stuff. So basically independent type of things. Yeah. So to hear her say that stuff, to see her want to move that way, it really triggered something in me that wanted to help that little spark become a fire, and so that's kind of what we did. We went and did that and started buying the products, started doing everything, and teaching her how to do it, and teaching her, hey, you got to put the work in if you want to see outcome. Just, dreams aren't dreams. I mean, dreams are only dreams until you put them into action to make them a reality.
Come on.
So
that's amazing, man. Yeah. I just want to say I admire that. I'm going to be a dad here in July. So my wife and I are expecting, and we're super, super thrilled.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that's one of those things that her and I are real passionate about, is the business side of things. Because, again, and there's not to say that you can't scale up in a business, working for a business. But just I think the freedoms, and just even from financial standpoint of tax advantages, if you guys haven't, I encourage you to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. He's a legend. He also has the 4 quadrants, of an employer, self-employed, business owner, investor. Just really, really good concepts that are proven. And you look at people's lives, and it's like, who do you want to pay first? You want to pay yourself, or you want to pay the government first? And there's so many different advantages that you can do with having a business. And so anyways, all that to say, I grew up in I'm a pastor, I support my dad here in his church, and we grew up in that kind of background. And so there's a lot of things that were instilled into me growing up, Gabe. But, one of the things that, I appreciate the faith that was implemented into me, but some of the financial pieces weren't always there. And so with this is awesome. And I love this. And that's something that I want to, it's a model I want to follow after, Gabe, of what you're doing to support your daughter and just helping kindle a little bit of that fire in that right direction, which is really, really cool, man. But I guess what kind of drew you to allow that support? Is that just something that your parents did for you that you just like, man, I'm going to, kind of do the same thing? Is that kind of the same idea as well? Like, no, I just really want to instill entrepreneurship in them. Like, how did that kind of...
Well, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
If anybody, not just your kid, if somebody comes up to you with opportunity, with a proposition, you don't just kick it away. You don't just not do anything with it. You got to see what they're about, see what it's about. That's what life is about to me.
Yeah.
Life is a gamble. Life is beautiful. It's awesome. Why limit it? Feed the fire, help that fire grow, and it's awesome. So it's one of those things where you just go after it. You go after it and you help somebody else's dream come true if you can.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I love that just heart attitude and that heart posture of yours, man, that you're just willing to be a support and a help to people. What were some of I'm curious to hear, what were some of the kind of the post lemonade stand talks you had with your daughter that were just like, what were some of those key things that you kind of, instilled of like, how did that conversation go at the end of it?
Well, I mean, she was ecstatic from all of it, just seeing every customer come by, and where we live right off of the highway. So I don't know, I guess you could say it's a perfect spot for a lemonade stand. Yeah. But just every time she's seen somebody come by, she'd just get excited. I just saw that excitement, and it wasn't just excitement, to grab her dollar from them or whatever, but it was the excitement of seeing a new person, talking to that new person, giving them something that she made to see how their reaction was when they tasted it. It was just an awesome experience, and after, we finished up, and her thing right away was, can we do this every day that you're off? And I was like, well, we're going to do it as much as we can, we're going to do it as much as we can. So, I just kind of talked to her a little bit, and I was like, hey, so, how did you feel about it? What did you think? And her thing right away was, it was good. I felt happy. And I'm like, that's a good answer. That's a good feeling. Yeah. To get that from a 5-year-old to tell me that this thing that we did, that we put together, brought her happiness. So that was really, it was really touching.
That's awesome, man. And what you guys are doing is just phenomenal, because most kids, like I know myself growing up, I wasn't asking, can I, do a job so I can get income so I can pay for something that I want. It was more of, can I have money? Like, hey, can I get $10? I'm trying to buy this. Yeah. And the fact that she's more of, no, I want to do this lemonade stand. She's investing in, her business, right? To from there, go ahead and purchase some of the wants and needs that she has from that. So I think a lot of that kind of comes from visualizing what you're doing and just seeing the things that you're able to accomplish, Gabe, which is just fantastic. Let me ask you this: what are some success stories of being in business?
There's quite a few. One of my biggest things is to see that I started something, to see that I'm leaving a legacy for myself. Yeah. That was one of the biggest things of why I got started as well, is to just leave a legacy for myself. If my kids don't want to go after it and they don't want to, do whatever I'm doing because they decide they want to go somewhere else, that's fine. That's part of what business is opening up doors for people and for your family to try to see if they want to go with it too, to give them, a little bit of a stepping stone. Yeah. And for me, that's kind of what it was, the freedom that can come with it. Of course, to be financially, I don't know, I guess financially better than what you were. Yeah. Things like that. So I just feel like it was a good way for me to make something mine, to create something that I can, when I leave this earth, that's what I did. People are going to know me for that, and they're going to know me for a lot of other things, being helpful, being, whatever it may be, because I'm the type of guy that if you need help, I'm going to be there to try to help you as much as I can, whether I know you or not. Yeah. And that kind of went and took me for a loop, because I see the way I started it. I see all the trials and tribulations and everything that I go through.
Yeah.
And I look at what I do now. There's a couple of things that I do now, and trying to and staying on the topic of success stories. There's the way that I started is not the way that I am now. I guess to say it that way.
Yeah.
The type of success that I have hasn't been easy. It's been difficult. It's been everything about business isn't easy. It's hard. It could be gruesome. It could be some of the toughest times. Stress. Everything that goes on with it. It's tough, but to see that there's a bigger outcome on the end of it, that's kind of what will drive you to it. And to see that the people that I haul for, the companies that I haul for, those are some pretty big names in the game. And it's been really life-changing.
Yeah.
It's been really life-changing, that to say the least.
So, Gabe, with the different people that you work with, how have you established yourself, like, as someone that, man, we can trust him? I mean, just hearing the conversation, I can imagine there's a lot of things just with your character wanting to help people and just having that heart to be there. But how did you first kind of get in there to where you made a name for yourself and people were able to recognize, like, oh, we can work with G Trucking, to haul our stuff? Like, how did that happen?
You show up. You show up and you show your face, and whatever job that they give you, you get it done. Even if it's hard for you, even if you think, I might not be able to get it done, well, you just figure it out. You got to go. You got to figure it out. You show up, you talk to them right, you give them the respect that they deserve. You just get the job done the way that you need to get it done. And that's kind of how you do it.
Yeah. Well, man, I think playing for Santa Cruz helped us a lot with losing and just still keeping our head up and going after it, which they're doing amazing now. Like, it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
But just keeping to show up. We've talked about this a lot, and so maybe let me ask you and phrase it this way, Gabe. How has failure then shaped your business? Like, what are some of the scars that you've gone through that, man, now it's given you either strength or it's given you wisdom of, like, no, I'm going to handle that better or do that different?
Definitely, yeah. So a lot of the bad times, I like to say bad times don't last. They're going to be here and then they're going to be gone. So when you're going through a bad time, and I didn't always know this, I just, we're young, we don't have experience, we don't have a lot of wisdom, so you just have to learn through it. So my thing was, anytime that you failed, don't just fail and then put it in the back burner, go about your day again, go about your week, and then fail again on the same thing. That's not the way to do it. If you're gonna fail, learn from it, figure out how to make yourself better, figure out how to be more progressive, and learn how to not fail in that aspect again. Because if you keep failing in that aspect, you're not progressing. You're staying the same. And if you stay the same in business, you're not gonna be a profitable business.
Yeah.
So you always got to be willing to learn new things, talk to a lot of people, get insight from different people.
If you don't mind me asking, can you give me an example, Gabriel, just so we can kind of relate and, sit in the seat with you in that? Like, what was something that, man, I can't do that again? Like, I need to adjust or kind of, take that a different way?
So I guess a good small example is in trucking. I mean, when you're doing all the driving and stuff, tires. Tires is a good point in trucking. You don't want to just go and buy the cheapest tire that you see because it's what you can manage. It's because the amount of money that you have in your pocket. It's like, oh well, I can only afford this tire, but I really need this tire. Well, one good learning experience is if you do that and get a little bit of your money and buy the cheap tire, and you're back on the road and you're happy and you're like, all right, let's go, we're ready to do this again. You're gonna find out that going the easy, cheap route is gonna leave you on the road again, and you're gonna waste time. You're gonna create not an enemy, but you're gonna create friction between you and the people that you're hauling with, because they're gonna say that this guy's not how do you say it, he's not I'm drawing a loss of words, but he's not efficient. You know, he's not efficient enough. And in business, you need to be efficient. You have to be efficient.
Right.
It's really key to be efficient. So don't just go the easy route. If you got a little bit of money in your pocket, don't think that you know, I don't want to go buy this new set of tires, this more expensive tires, because I'm not going to have money in my pocket. I'm not going to be able to go get this new shirt, this new shoes, this new whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Put that money into your business, because when you put that money into your business, it's going to come back tenfold.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess.
Man, that's really good. You know, I had a mentor who would always say it like this, Gabe, like, you can't step over dollars to pick up dimes. In other words, it's just like, you know, so many times we try to save and not like, I don't want to spend on that big expensive thing, or I don't want to make that big expense. Sometimes you have to, and that, like you said, invest and look. That's how you have to look at it, right? It's an investment into your business, and that's what's going to yield you a better return in the long run. And that's, man, thank you for sharing that, because that's a powerful lesson in anything that we're doing in life, right? You just can't take the easy route. You can't just step into an easy way of doing things, you know. That's what we're all about here in the podcast, right? Growth environment. Yeah, you need encouragement. You need, you know, motivation. You need discipline. But one of the biggest things you need for a growth environment is resistance. You know, just like as we go and we'd work out, right? We'd go run, or we'd you know, go to the gym. Like, you need that resistance that's going to build your strength. Without resistance, you're not going to grow. Like, you're just going to stay plateaued. So I really like that. Thank you for sharing that. Let me ask you something. This is not really related towards business, but again, this is kind of like a self-development too. And so I like tips and tricks here, Gabe. Like, and I'll share mine. But what's something that has been like the best investment under $100 that you've made that's just, man, it has helped you, whether it's like personally, whether it's just for funds? Like, for me, I'm getting back into running. And I was running in Converse. I'm a big boy, dude. I ran those things to the ground, dude. The holes in them, like, so fast. And so I invested just recently into some running shoes, and it surprised me the difference. My gosh, like, my knees and shins are like just saying thank you, Josue. Like, you're hurting me. So that's a last investment that I've made recently that was under $100 that, hey, like, you know, they worked out pretty well, and it's been a benefit to me. What's something for you, man, that you just invested in that's helpful?
So something for me actually is something really new, and I actually posted it just a while back, and it's teas. Herbal teas.
Oh, really?
Herbal teas.
Like teas. Okay. Really?
Yeah. So the thing that I'm on now, I'm on this health type of deal.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty healthy already, but I'm like, you know, what can I do better in my life? What can I do better in my routine?
Yeah.
So I started getting into herbal stuff, you know, the herbal teas, and just doing stuff that is gonna help my health without having to use the big pharmacy stuff. You know, just trying to get away from like pain pills and you know, just like NyQuil and all those things. Yeah, they help us when we're sick and stuff like that, but I just wanted to go the more healthier route that our grandparents did for us. So that's one of the things that I started recently is getting some teas, just having a morning tea, having a night tea before you go to sleep, help you calm down, and just, you know, better for the body and stuff. So, and I've seen some pretty good growth with it. So
that's pretty cool. Like, do you forget coffee then, or is it just tea, or do you still have coffee?
It's just tea. It's just tea.
Wow, dang. Okay.
Yeah, I've never really been a coffee drinker, because I feel like, I always say this, I'm my own energy. If I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm feeling groggy or something, I guess it goes back to the mindset thing, because I just got to get it in my mind. I got to tell myself, well, get up. You know, don't rely on something to get you up. You get up. You get after it, and you do it.
Come on.
You know, so so I guess I'm a tea guy now.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. What's your favorite tea?
Honestly, the ones that I've chosen are all really good. They're really good. There's a lot of stuff that's into those specific teas. You know, there's peppermint, chamomile, lavender, just a bunch of stuff, a bunch of plants that are in the earth already that you just you know, people are picking, and you put them into a drink, and you get all the health benefits from it.
Well, I'm thankful for my wife. My wife's a tea person, and she's very health oriented. They grew up in a very old style lifestyle where they didn't use electricity and stuff like that. She's not like that now, but that's what her childhood was like. And so, yeah, we have teas all over the house,
Awesome.
Homemade bread, garden. Yeah, she
Yeah.
loves all that kind of stuff. And
Cool.
it makes a huge difference, man.
Yeah.
Kind of getting back into, just business side, Gabe. What is some advice that you would give to someone who wants to start their own business?
Well, the first piece of advice is do it. I like to say, and I said it earlier, but you're not going to know until you know.
Yeah.
You know, would you rather live a life of guessing, a life of shoulda, woulda, couldas, or would you rather live a life of, you know what, I did it. Even if I failed and it didn't work, I did it.
Yeah.
You know, so if you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you have something that you're, wanting to chase after, chase it. Go for it. Whether you're scared or not. I mean, when I chased mine, I was scared.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, and you never know.
Yeah.
But if you have that burning desire inside of you, you got God on your side, you got all this stuff, your family, whether it's family or not. Some family could be on your side, some family cannot, some friends can be, some friends cannot. That's just the way life is, It's just that's just the way it is. You just got to go. You just got to go after it.
Right.
So, yeah, just and I guess another thing on that is to not just take risks. Don't just take risks blindly.
Yeah.
Take calculated risks. For me, I feel like I take calculated risks.
Right.
Risks that are going to allow me to not fail as much. And I say fail as much because you're always going to see failure.
Right.
You can't always just progress and only just win.
Right.
You got to lose too. You got to learn how to lose.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things, is to take your calculated risks, figure out what it is that you want, figure out the route that you want to go, and figure out if that's the route that you should go.
Yeah.
See other people doing that same route. Just visualize, be a visualized person, look at what other people are doing and learn from it.
Yeah, I used to coordinate a business school up at Karis Bible College, and one of the biggest things that we would always push our students is that you have to study your competition, and everyone has competition. A lot of times we think, oh, I have my own idea, this is really unique and different. No, we all have competition. Right. But it isn't just studying competition for like, I'm going to, be cutthroat and I need to dominate them, but it's also what are some of the best practices that they're doing that you can adopt? There's maybe a specific reason why they're doing it that way, and it's probably because that's industry standard. But then I can adopt that, but then I can make it unique and special where it's, man, why is mine better than my competition? So I love that, looking at someone else within your niche or area that you're trying to get after. But let's break this down some more. You talked about calculated risk. Can you break that down even more of like a calculated risk versus just risk in general? Obviously, risk in general is just going blindly, which is stupid. But, calculate it. What are some of the things that run through your mind when you're calculating your risk?
So I'll give you a story on myself, and it kind of goes back to how I started. So, I was at a job that I was at, and I liked it. I liked the guys there. I liked what I did. It was cool. I liked it. But I always, like I said in the beginning, I always knew that I wanted to do a business. I always knew I wanted to do something for myself. Yeah. So to answer your question, I didn't just go and blindly just say, I'm just going to quit. I want to just chase my dream and just quit. Just like you said, that's stupid. You got bills to pay, you got bills, whatever you got, you can't just do that. So a calculated risk that I took was to look at the industry that I was in, find the place that I wanted to work with, the people that I wanted to work with, and go and talk to them. I mean, heck, I wasn't even in the business or nothing yet, but I was going to meetings, talking to people, getting insight, finding this stuff out, for my industry, learning what trucks are the better trucks, what engines are the better engines, for everything, like how you said, research, what are the better tires, what are, just a lot of that stuff. What are the better insurance companies? What insurance company is going to allow me to make more profit for my business because it's a cheaper insurance, but don't just go for the cheaper insurance because when something happens, they might not cover you. Yeah. So like I said earlier, don't just go for the cheapest thing, look at these insurances, outweigh them. And if you got to pay a little bit extra, you got to pay to play, basically. So yeah, that's what I would say, just do that, Write it down if you have to. If you're not a visual person, or if you need, find out what helps you, and write it down. Sleep on it for a little bit. Don't just take action and just answer it right away. Don't think that you're just gonna make this big company in one day. It's something that's been it's got to be in the making in you now. For you to do it later, you gotta really think about it. And
that's amazing. You started this company in 2021. What would you tell yourself? Now being we're in 2025. What would you tell your 2021-year-old self with starting G Trucking? Like, what would you tell him?
Man, there'd be a lot that I want to say. So it's hard to pinpoint, one thing. But one thing that I would say to myself is keep that same drive that you have.
Yeah. Don't
lose sight of that drive.
Yeah.
Just keep it, because that drive has gotten you to where you are today. And, another big thing is keep that faith. You have to have faith in God. I believe that I didn't get to where I'm at without God. It just didn't happen. Like, someone didn't wish it on me, and I just, God has the opportunity for all of us.
Yeah.
I feel like he already knows our way. He already knows what we're supposed to do, and he's going to give us these opportunities as a guide to say, hey, look, this is the route that I want you to take. Here's this opportunity.
Yeah.
Take it, and you're going to see what's going to happen for you in the future.
Right.
If you don't take it, well, that's fine, but, this might not happen for you.
Right.
So that's kind of what I believe in. I believe in God heavily. I talk to him all the time. It goes to where our kids, every night before we go to bed, we're talking, we're praying, we're sharing aspirations, we're doing all that stuff. So
come on.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. I didn't know that. Again, and that's what I encourage you guys is go check out Growth Toolbox episode 1. Your framework, and that give you a good insight of faith and practicality and your mindset, which is something I really admire about you, Gabriel, that you've really been establishing is a lot on mindset, a lot on discipline. Seem fairly disciplined and really and I don't mean it in a bad way, because I think sometimes it's a bad connotation, but aggressive. And that's a good thing. I see that as you can't be soft, man. You have to be something that's, I'm going to go after it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to put my full effort into this. That's huge. We all need that drive, because I think sometimes people can fantasize about business because of the results that could come with it. And it's like, man, it's nice, but it still requires the drive, right? It still requires the will. It still requires the hard work. What are some things that has helped you develop that mindset and helped you to, man, just get after it? Like, hey, I'm tired, but you know what? My mindset, you went to, I got to just shift my mind. What's kind of helped you with that?
I want to say, going back to my childhood, when we grew up, we did a lot of sports. My parents had us in baseball, wrestling, football. We did a lot of that stuff. We raised animals. I really feel like the country cowboy side that I was brought into helped me today, because when you got animals and you got chickens and goats and horses and all that stuff, you got to be the one that's taking care of them. They can't just get their water for themselves. They can't get their food for themselves. You got to get up and do it, and as a kid, you're laying in bed or you're playing video games and you're just like, you see the sun going down and you're just like, oh shoot, that time's coming. I got to go out there and do it. But I don't really want to. My mom and my dad, my parents, they were the ones to kind of instill this discipline and respect into me, to tell me, hey, I understand that you don't want to do it, but if you don't feed them, who will? Yeah. Who's going to do it? So I feel like that transferred into what I do now, the days where I'm just like, I feel like I need a break. I feel like I need this. Take your break. You do need a health break. You can't just work. You got to take your break to stay healthy. But at the end of the day, you have to think about it, and you have to really look and see, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? If I want this dream, who's going to make my dream come true? If you're living like that, if you're thinking that way, that I want this dream, and you're sitting on the sidelines and you're just looking at people and you're looking and I want what they got, but you're not putting any action to it. Yeah. you're not going to get any results. So you have to be strong enough mindfully to understand that I have to do something about this because no one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
So it's just something that you got to do. And if you don't have that mindset, find a mentor that does have that mindset, so that they can help you to be who you need to be. Right. Because throughout my years of doing business and just life, that's what I've looked at. You know, I've looked at mentors. I've looked at people who I liked what they did. You know, I liked the stuff that they did. So, you know, if you hang around with a bunch of good people, chances are you're going to end up being a good person too.
Yeah. No, that's so true, man. Man, if this is your sign to get after it and just to go do something and to find mentors in your life, I love that answer, and it's so true. I'm thankful for the people that would take time to pour into me. I'm thankful, and that's the key too. Like, you know, you got to learn to listen, learn to receive. You don't know everything, and I like saying it like this: like when you're around mentors in your life, you should be talking less and listening more. Right. Ask your question and shut up and just listen, and, you know, apply what's necessary. I guess the last thing, you know, Gabriel, I want to ask you is, how can people get connected with you if they want hauling service? And I saw this on Instagram. I don't know if this is legit still or still happening, but Legacy Event Rentals, is that you as well?
Yes, it is.
Man, come on, that's awesome. And that is his company that gives out, you know, nice. I mean, they're beautiful. Go check it out on Instagram. I'll put his tag on the show notes below. But they offer nice chairs and tables for events and parties. But you do a lot of things. How could people get connected with you if they want more information on hauling stuff or anything they need with trucking or anything that they may even need with the Legacy event? How can they get connected with you?
So on Facebook, you can get onto my personal. It's Gabriel Belloc. That's my personal. I don't have a trucking page, but I do have a page for Legacy Event Rentals.
Okay.
So we're on Facebook, so you guys can reach me there. And like I said, for anything, like going back to the mentors thing, you know, I've got a lot of people that always ask me questions, you know, and I'm willing, you know, I'm willing to share my story. I'm willing to tell you how it is, you know. I don't really see it too much as like competition, because I feel like we all have this desire to win, you know, and if you're willing to put that effort in, you deserve it, you know. So yeah, if you guys want anything, any answers to any questions you guys have, you know, feel free to hit my my inbox up on Facebook at Gabriel Belloc or my page Legacy Event Rentals, and we can get you taken care of there.
That's awesome, man. Well, I just, again, appreciate your heart, Gabriel. You're paying it forward in tremendous ways. I just pray for nothing but more success for you guys and your family. And I'm excited. I mean, just to see the influence that your daughters are going to have, because you're building your rooftop so high that you're going to give them such a solid foundation for them to follow, man. It's going to be amazing. So thank you again for being on the podcast. I'll put the show notes below, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. All right. Thanks. Peace.